Hello everybody and welcome back to the football betting series here on YouTube, Premier League edition. It's game week 1 and I have 4 picks in today's episode. I'm really excited to get started. A quick look at the record shows that we have officially made 1 bet so far this season. That was the Community Shield where Liverpool did beat Crystal Palace. So we're already standing at a 1-0 record with a profit of £14.50. I'm sure we can do a bit better than that, so if you think today's video is informative, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. Without further ado, let's get into it. We kick things off with the curtain-raising fixtures. Last season's champions Liverpool play host to 9th place. Liverpool, they won the league last season and they've added some key pieces to their squad to increase their chances of retaining the title. Trent Alexander-Arnold was replaced by Frimpong. We also have Kirz coming in for the ageing Robertson, and Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike coming in to aid in that creative final third to ease some of the strain on an ageing Mo Salah. I think all of these transfers has given Slot a real chance at retaining the title, and I'm really interested to see how this side will play. It'll be less heavy metal and more creativity, and I think that's only a good thing for the Premier League. In terms of form, towards the end of the season, Liverpool did take their foot off the pedal. They did already secure the title, but they did fail to win either of their final 4 Premier League games. After a summer of rest, I don't think these final games will carry too much weight for the Reds, but it is worth taking note. They play host to a Bournemouth side who are much depleted after this summer. They lost H2Hs to Real Madrid, they lost Kirz to Liverpool, and there are some more minor departures such as Jaidon Anthony completing a permanent move to Burnley, and Mark Travers going to Everton. The Cherries have also brought in a couple of new players to fill in the gaps, such as Đorđe Petrovic for Chelsea in replace of the departing Kepa, and Adrien Truffet at left back to replace that position that was vacated by Kirz. All things considered though, I would say that Bournemouth have absolutely taken a step back this season and will do really well to finish in the top half this year. I don't think they'll be troubled by relegation, but I really think their squad has gotten worse. In terms of last year, they did finish 9th place, and they ended fairly strong as well. They picked up 3 points against Arsenal towards the end of the season, which really did end the title race. And they also picked up a 2-0 win on the final day of the season against an already relegated Leicester side, thanks to a Semieno brace. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last fixture between these sides took place in February at the Vitality Stadium. Mo Salah opened the scoring after half an hour from the penalty spot, and then he added his second of the game in the 75th minute to seal a comfortable 2-0 win for Liverpool. Longer term, Liverpool have won each of the last 4 Premier League encounters and each of the last 5 matches across all competitions in a record dating back to March of 2023. My prediction for today's game is that, riding high off a strong Premier League season with some fresh recruits brought in for the summer to bolster the squad, I can't really see any reason why Liverpool won't open their 25-26 account with a win. I'm going to be backing the Reds to win the opening game for a full stake here in bet number 1, and bet number 1 of the new Premier League season. Our second selection sees last season's 6th place side Aston Villa playing host to last season's 5th place side Newcastle. Starting off with Aston Villa, with Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio returning to their parent clubs following successful loan spells at Villa Park, they've not really done a whole lot to boost the squad over the summer window. The only notable signing was Yasin Özkan for £7 million from Kasımpaşa of Turkey, and at the time of recording, the only real first-team player would be the recent signing of Ethan Gessard from Nice to bolster the front line. I think he's going to be a good rotation piece, but I would be really surprised if he managed to displace Ollie Watkins as the out-and-out number 1 option up front. In terms of form, Aston Villa ended the season strong, 3 wins from 4 despite a final day loss against Manchester United. They hosted Newcastle's side who, so far in this transfer window, have managed to keep hold of their key pieces. No doubt the Champions League football secured following that 5th place finish last year went a long way to achieving this goal. In terms of additions, the really only notable one is a £61 million move with Anthony Elanga coming in from Nottingham Forest. In terms of form, the Magpies didn't end the season in the best of shape. They won just 1 of their final 4 games and were almost caught by Aston Villa for those Champions League spots on the final day, but they did win out on goal difference. When we take a look at the head-to-head records, the last game between these sides took place back in April. Aston Villa managed to win 4-1 in comfortable style. Ollie Watkins got the Villains off to a perfect start as he scored within the very first minute of the game. The match was then levelled up by Fabian Schär after 20 minutes, but the game was really decided in a 10-minute spell where Aston Villa managed to score 3 times. A Dan Burn own goal was sandwiched by contributions from Ian Maatsen and Andre Onana. That win for Villa did break a 3-game winning streak for Newcastle. We can see these sides are quite evenly matched here. My prediction for today's game is that there's a fantastic case to be made for both sides to be called the best of the rest. They're going to be fighting for that 4th or 5th spot come May time, and I think this is a really enticing opening fixture. I'm expecting both teams to have a really good go at trying to pick up 3 points to open their campaign, and that's why I'm looking at both teams to score. Aston Villa have seen both teams to score in none of their final 4 Premier League games of last season. However, when we filter just by home form, we can see that 9 of the last 10 matches at Villa Park have seen both teams to score. Whereas Newcastle, both teams to score failed to come in any of their last 3 Premier League games last season. However, this result did come in 2 of their last 3 matches on the road. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, 3 of the last 4 encounters saw both teams to score, and both of the last 2 matches at Villa Park saw both teams manage to find the net as well. That's why I'm going to be backing both teams to score for a full stake here in bet number 2. Our third selection in today's episode sees last season's 16th place side Wolves playing host to 3rd place Manchester City. And Wolves, they were hit hard in this summer transfer window as they did lose 2 big pieces to the Manchester clubs. First off was Matheus Cunha to Manchester United, and then also Ryan Aït-Nouri to today's opposition in Manchester City. Now, they did manage to take in £111 million from those 2 deals, but considering that both players combined for 40% of Wolves' goal contributions last season, I think these departures will sorely be missed. Last season, Wolves did manage to finish 16th in the Premier League, and they really benefited from a weak crop of promotion sides. As such, they managed to avoid the drop by 17 points with 42 points overall. They host a Manchester City side who saw a number of key changes in this transfer window. The old guard of Kevin De Bruyne and Kyle Walker have departed to Napoli and Burnley respectively, and Pep has tried to replace the creativity of Kevin De Bruyne with the addition of 3 players in Ryan Aït-Nouri at fullback and 2 midfielders of Ryan Cherki and Tijani Reinders as well for a combined £90 million. Last season, Manchester City did manage to finish 3rd place in the table, and they did look far from their best. After the additions of these key pieces to replace Kevin De Bruyne, I do think Manchester City will be able to challenge for the title once more. When we take a look at the head-to-head records, the previous encounter between these sides took place right at the end of last season in May. Manchester City managed to run out 1-0 winners at the Etihad thanks to a goal contribution from Kevin De Bruyne in the middle of the first half. However, when we take a look at the numbers, we can see it was quite a torrid affair. Both sides only combined for an XG of 1.11, as Manchester City did manage to choke the game out, dominating the possession and manage the 1-0 win. Longer term, that win for Manchester City made it 3 in a row. They've also won 9 of the last 10 Premier League encounters in a record dating back to December of 2019. My prediction for today's game is that I really don't want to be too negative about sides right at the start of the year. However, Wolves have lost 2 really big pieces and haven't replaced them, and I do think they're going to struggle this year. They're going to be up against a Manchester City side who definitely have something to prove this year, and I think for those reasons I struggle to see anything other than a Manchester City win on the opening day. I think although they are the away side, odds of 1.5 does seem fair value, so I'm going to back the Citizens to pick up a win for a full stake here in bet number 3. Our 4th and final pick in today's episode is probably one of the most exciting opening day fixtures in recent memory. Last season's 15th place Manchester United play host to last season's runners-up 2nd place Arsenal. The Red Devils will look to put last year behind them in a season where they finished 15th. And I think we all recall Ruben Amorim announcing that he had inherited one of the worst editions of Manchester United in the club's history. There's a lot of work to do to overturn that, and Manchester United have been putting that work in the transfer window. They've splashed the cash on signings like Matheus Cunha from Wolves and Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford for a combined £149 million according to Transfermarkt. At the time of recording, there's also rumours of adding Benjamin Sesko to the front line, but I'm still waiting on that official "here we go" announcement before I believe the rumours to be true. As well as these additions, Manchester United have also managed to cut the dead weight in the squad. Victor Lindelof and Christian Eriksen have been released from the club, as well as the infamous loan signing of Marcus Rashford to Barcelona. So Manchester United have been busy, but how far will these departures really move the needle for them? I'm not too sure. However, I do think they will absolutely finish above 15th place. They host an Arsenal side who were runners-up once again last year, but it doesn't mean they had a bad season by any stretch. A solid defensive partnership of Saliba and Gabriel saw the Gunners maintain the best defensive record in the division, as they only allowed 34 goals from 38 league matches. Arteta will hope that the business done in the summer will really help Arsenal across the line to secure their first title in over 20 years. At the time of recording, Arsenal have spent a combined £215 million on Zubamendi from Sociedad, Madueke and Kepa from Chelsea, Mosquera from Valencia, Norgard from Brentford, and perhaps the signing that I'm most encouraged by, Victor Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon. If Arsenal manage to maintain their stout defensive record from last year and then add a few more goals from the Swedish international, I think they have an excellent chance of finding themselves at the top of the tree when all is said and done. In terms of departures, much like Manchester United, Arsenal have cleared out a lot of the dead weight in their squad, with the departures of Tavares, Marquinhos, Tierney, Jorginho, Tomiyasu and Partey as well. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last encounter between these sides was a game of two halves for sure. Manchester United gave a really good account of themselves in the first 45, and they even managed to take a 1-0 lead into half-time thanks to Bruno Fernandes. However, I'm not really sure what happened in the dressing room, but Manchester United really failed to get going in the second period. As such, Arsenal took control of the game and managed to find the equaliser thanks to Declan Rice in the 75th minute. However, despite the pressure, the Gunners couldn't find that second goal, with the final score finishing 1-1. Longer term, that draw did stop a 4-game winning streak for the Gunners over Manchester United in the Premier League. For Manchester United's last win in the division, we have to go all the way back to September of 2022. It was a 3-1 victory where the goal contributions were Anthony and a brace from Marcus Rashford for then manager Erik ten Hag. My prediction for today's game is that Arsenal certainly have got the better of Manchester United over recent years, and they appear to be in the ascendancy. However, whilst all the numbers do point in the direction of Arsenal, my gut doesn't feel quite right. Arsenal are great value at just shy of 6-4 if you want to take them outright, but I really want the added security of a draw on the opening day of the season. So with all that in mind, I'm going to be laying Manchester United here for a full stake in the final bet of today's episode. So there we have it, 4 picks in today's episode, starting off with the curtain raiser. We're going to be backing Liverpool to beat Bournemouth at odds of 1.39, a £50 full stake to return. Today now, Aston Villa host Newcastle, and we're going to be taking both teams to score. Odds of 1.56, a £50 full stake to return 28. And also on the Saturday, on the evening kickoff, Wolves versus Man City, we're going to back the Citizens to pick up a win on the road on game week 1. Odds of 1.49, a £50 full stake to return 24. And then wrapping up the first match day on the Monday night, Manchester United versus Arsenal, and I'm going to be laying the Red Devils at odds of around 1.34, a £50 full stake to return £17 and 24 pence. So across the opening weekend, we're going to be risking £200 to hopefully pick up as much as £88 and 74 pence. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.